This is citation information, bibliographical information, abstracts and keywords, some details and other information useful. But for our experiments, we took only such metadata as authors ID, title, abstract, author keywords, and index keywords. On this slide, we present information about our metadata. So you can see the total number of tokens for different fields and tokens with the length of 4 and more, the average length of metadata field, number of original tokens, and the percentage of original tokens to their total number. And this slide is describe our general approach. So first of all, we need to define the source of publication data. For our experiments, we took Scopus, but of course it may be Web of Science or other databases or local databases for journal. After this, we need to extract text array from our metadata, and we did some pre-processing stages. It's a classical approach, so we remove numbers, punctuations, stop words, and we did morphological analysis. So we used not all tokens, we used nouns, verbs, and adjectives for our experiments. After this, we put this information to the topic modeling model. For topic modeling, we used classical approach is the LDA methods, but also we can use different methods for topic modeling, because now a lot of different modify of LDA with using transformers, etc. As a result of experiments with the value of coherence, it was found that the best model for our experiments divided into topics is for 34 classes. But if we look on this slide, we from Scopus we find 24 classes. So LDA model found more classes than in our that we have before experiments, and it's true because, as I said, some papers related with different domains. After this, we use our model in our information topic model and prepare also some prepare some steps for define the conflict of interest between authors of paper and our reviewers. And after this, we receive the list of potential reviewers for our paper. On the slide, you can see the results of a topic modeling stage. We took for experiments papers from the journal Cybernetics and System Analysis. We take only some parts of data, so we put information about 5 papers with their classes for these papers and probability. The best probability for each paper. On this slide, you can see the visualization of topic modeling stage. You can see that more bubbles are concentrated in one sectors of graph, and it's correct because we took papers from the computer science, and also you can see the keywords for each classes, and it's very useful to analyze of our results. And after our stage, which related with the analysis of conflicts of interest and some additional processing of our data, we receive the list of potential reviewers for each paper. What about the results of our research? So, the approach were proposed using the methods of topic modeling and natural language processing allows us to obtain not only research topics, but also take into account possible conflicts of interest. Thanks to information from metadata. And the topic model was built on the basis of Scopus data and tested on the real journal articles. The results showed that our approach was quickly and efficiently, and the answers proposed by our method are relevant to the research topic. This approach will be used also for the organizers of conferences or editors of some journals. In addition, and for future work, we also want to analyze not only metadata about title, keywords, and abstracts, but also references. But a reference can contain both as positive and negative links. And this metadata also contains many words that cause white noise. In future, also we plan to test and evaluate the performance of our method for the real journal with existence data on reviewers. So thank you for your attention. Please, questions.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Dear participants, do you have any questions, any comments concerning this presentation?
May I ask a question?
Yes, yes, you're welcome.
Well, thank you for your interesting presentation. How did you determine that the reviewers suggested by your system are actually the would be good reviewers for this particular paper? Like this is basically a question about the evaluation stage.
We could not say that this reviewer is good or this reviewer or bad, because we take information from the Scopus database and we decide that if researcher has a publication in this database that is good, yes. So our task not defined this reviewer good or bad. We need to find the relevant reviewers to our paper, and we try to find more reviewers because I think more of us understood that it's really a problem to find reviewers for conferences, for journals, and as researcher, very often I receive a lot of papers for review, but I'm not in computer science, in artificial intelligence, but I'm not a specialist in this domain. So we're trying to find, try to analyze more additional information from the metadata of Scopus database and try to find separate not wild specialist in this domain. So we try to find more relevant reviewers for our, for example, paper, some papers, based on information from their keywords, abstracts of his publications, and title of publications.
Okay, so basically the reviewers suggested by your system are much more likely to be specializing in that domain, right?
Yes.
Then, okay.
So it's a potential list of reviewers. So editors can send invitation for all of them. Yeah. I think this software can help editors fast to search faster. Yes, all necessary information, because editor can send a lot of letters until he received I approve, I like this topics of papers, and I can review.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much. And it was great.
I have a question. I'm sorry. I have a question.
Sorry, I
Can I?
noticed it. Yes, Nina.
Ola, thank you very much for your presentation. I'm glad to see you. And I think it's very interesting and necessary research. And of course, we or some conference or some journals needs of these approaches, I suppose. But my question is, are you planning communication with some journal in future or some conference, or maybe in order to implement this approach or this use these researches in practice? Have you some communicate some requests from some journal or some conference? My question is.
Yes, we have one journal from Ukraine. The editors from this journal want to try our approach, so we need to test in real life. Yes. How it help, so we need to receive feedback from the real journal. Yes, and we can understood it's useful for them, and how help, maybe we can add additional features for the software.
Thank you, it's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? No, it seems to me no. So it's my great pleasure to introduce a team of scholars from Lviv Polytechnic National University: Zoriana, Kunch, Anna Serednytska, Ihor, Vasylyshyn, Halyna, Horodylovska, and Iryna Farion, who will present their findings on the peculiarities of spelling rules in formal, informal, handwriting, and internet communication.
Serednytska Anna.
The floor is yours.
Yes. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you all for giving me the opportunity to present our research.
Yes, so you may share your screen and your presentation.
Yes. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can see it.
Thank you. Slide 1, our research question is the peculiarities of spelling rules in formal, informal, handwriting, and internet communication. Slide 2. On this slide, you can see the topic and the aim of research. The development of technical means has led to a trend towards the transition from communication to a written online format. Due to radical social and technical changes, the questions of how language functions within virtual informal communication has become topical. The aim of this research is to establish the dynamics of changes in students' attitudes to spelling rules depending on the choice of one of three different communicative situations: traditional formal, business, and informal in handwritten notes, and the latest situation of informal internet communication. Slide 3. On this slide, you can see reset methods. In the reset process, we relied on a specific sociological method, as well as methods of experiment, description, observation. The scheme of methodology of our reset is shown in the figure. First of all, a questionnaire was compiled covering a number of general questions: age, gender, place of birth and residence, knowledge of the state language, etc. In the main part of the questionnaire, students were asked 19 questions related to the most important types of the Ukrainian spelling. To help respondents determine their level of spelling competence, examples of typical spellings were provided for each question. For example, the question, do you follow the rules of doubling letters in foreign words, illustrated by examples, Extrany, Tallinn. The experimental part of the study was conducted on the basis of Google Forms implementing a survey of 397 respondents aged between 17 and 18 years. 56% of respondents were boys and 43 were girls. Students come from different cities and villages of Ukraine and study at technical, economic, and law faculties. For 386 respondents, 97%, Ukrainian is their native language. At the next stage, the collected material was systematized, classified, and described using a structural descriptive method, which is based on comparative analysis. Based on this analysis, it was found that the attitude of young people to the observance of orthography norms at 3 levels of communication were different. In the process of analyzing the survey data, general statistics of answers are taken into account, as well as statistics of answers on a specific question. The obtained results were analyzed using theoretical methods of generalization and induction. Systematized data allowed identifying trends in compliance with different types of spelling rules in different communicative situations, in particular during internet communication. In accordance with the results obtained on the problematic aspects of spelling, recommendations have been developed to improve mobile applications that offer users the correct spelling of words. Slide 4. After analyzing the questionnaires offered to the students of the Lviv Polytechnic National University for a survey on the topic, my attitude to the issue of compliance with current Ukrainian spelling in different communicative situations, we found interesting answers to various questions. The experimental data are summarized in the table 1. Slide 5. On this slide, you can see percentage of language rules compliance in different communication situations, analyzing the attitude of the students to the observance of spelling rules in formal business, informal written, and informal internet communication. We have found that in business communication, the majority of students, from 70 to 90%, adhere to spelling rules. Slide 6. On this slide, you can see percentage of language rules compliance in the informal communication. In informal communication, which takes place with the help of handwriting, the level of compliance with spelling rules immediately drops sharply. This is due to the fact that communicators are moving to a conversational style of communication, which is characterized by free handling of norms, including spelling. As adherence becomes unimportant, not all speakers consider it necessary to make extra effort to spell words correctly. Slide 7. On this slide, you can see percentage of language rules compliance in the internet. The level of literacy of informal communication on the internet is especially low, which raises serious concerns. The results of the study eloquently show that literacy during online communication becomes insignificant for the younger generation as other means of self-expression come to the fore. Images, photographs, the ability to comically present information, demonstrate originality and independence from public opinion by all possible methods, including sometimes deliberate language, deviations, and obscene language. As a result, some spelling rules in the internet communication are followed by only 50–70% of respondents, and in some cases, even this level falls below 50%. Slide 8. On this slide, you can see percentage of language rules compliance in the formal communication. We have found that in formal communication, the majority of students, from 70 to 90%, adhere to spelling rules. Slide 9. On this slide, you can see conclusions and practical recommendations. The study discovered that internet users between the age of 17 and 18 years significantly underestimate the importance of spelling correctly to communicate online to create a positive human image. The discrepancy between the data illustrating compliance in business and informal online communication in some cases reaches 38%. The experiment confirmed the existence of the basic part of spelling rules, which are rarely subject to distortion and are a kind of spelling imperative for speakers. Regardless of the style and format of communication, most communicants try to follow the rules of writing a soft sign, the degree of comparison of adjectives, simplification, doubling, spelling of prefixes z, s, pre, pri, formation of possessive adjectives, capital letters. The results of the study show that it is necessary to take care of eliminating errors in online communication because post comments are available to everyone and are stored in the online environment for a long time. Mistakes and errors in online communication can cause significant damage to a person's image. The survey allowed to systematize common speech errors, and it can become the basis for a mobile application development that will prevent their occurrence in internet communication. Slide 10, acknowledgements. The authors would like to thank the armed forces of Ukraine for providing security to perform this work. This work has become possible only because of the resilience and courage of the Ukrainian army. Slide 11. Thank you all for attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I have some questions if I may first. So why do you think young people sometimes ignore, yes, as we see from the results of your study, spelling rules in the internet communication? And one more question, do you think that modern or future spell checking programs can help to solve this problem of spelling violations?
Thank you for the question. I think the revolution in electronic communication may give rise to new modes of communication. The language of the internet is essentially different from those found in other semiotic situations. There are numerous types, misspellings, swear words, and colloquialism, slang, shortening, clippings, and contractions. The use of racism, erroneous forms, sujik, obscene language, vocabulary elements. The similar processes are happening today in Russian network jargon, which uses deliberately distorted spelling and specific vocabulary. A sharp change in communication significantly influenced the attitude of communicators to language. Significant part of users in informal online communication implement conversational style, which affects significantly the way of expression. The language used by students during chatting has common features with spoken language, owing to this language having various deviations, especially in spelling. As a result, students follow almost none of the rules of written language. The problem in the digital age is that good language and strong spelling have become more optional. Internet users have a feeling of indifference to the literate and correct writing because they get used to visual identification of errors. There are some causes of errors in electronic communication. Use of messengers, chats, and other forms of electronic communication technology increase the number of spelling errors caused by inattention or haste. Errors occur due to technical conditions of communication, haste, fulfillment of many tasks at once, and non-compliance with the rules of capitalization, a necessity of simultaneous work on the computer keyboard with both hands. Contributors write non-standard forms to demonstrate playfulness and creativity. The significant cause of numerous violations is the desire to attract attention using comics or inappropriateness of posts. When one uses a well-known speech misstep deliberately, it helps him or her to create expressive and ironic utterances. Sometimes even users who write correctly enjoy the internet's informality, lack of rules, from which spelling norms, especially capitalization, as well as punctuation, primarily suffer from. Language errors are in network communication is a protest against normalization. Obviously, the behavior of network users is influenced by the fact that during this type of communication, they have the illusion of anonymity, confidentiality, a sense of security, as a result of which a person often begins to meet their destructive, deviant needs, including language. In addition, attitude to language and spelling depends on age group. Adolescents and young adults appear to have different perceptions of language and spelling. And second question, we think that spell checking programs can help the most in official internet communication. However, informal internet communication will remain, in our opinion, problematic in terms of compliance with spelling rules. Automatic spell checkers systems aim to verify and correct erroneous words through a suggested set of words that are nearest lexically to the erroneous ones. However, the main disadvantage of those systems is that the wanted solution may be most distant lexically, but the most appropriate in context. To correctly sort these solutions, the corrected must have some information about the general context of the text, the paragraph of the neighboring words, of the misspelling word.
Thank you.
Thank you for attention.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? So this was our last presentation within a plenary session. If you have any comments, any question, general remarks, dear participants, you are welcome to introduce them, to present them right now. I can't see. Now, once then, I would like to thank you all again, our speakers, for your very interesting, very stimulating contributions, and participants for very valuable discussions. After an hour break, we are waiting for you at 3 sessions. Let me remind you about them. At 2 p.m. You can attend the main conference, natural language processing session. Also, the same time but different link details. Yes, you can find them in the program. We have a computational linguistic workshop and 2 sections there. First is computer-based discourse analysis and social media analysis. And one more, corpus technologies, ontologies, and computer lexicography. After the break, yes, welcome. We are waiting for you. Enjoy your day, enjoy conference, stay safe, and we are closing our plenary session now. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianna.
Thank you very much for organization and for such great conference in this part. Thank you very much.
Thanks. It's my pleasure, always my pleasure to be with you and to participate at this conference. Thank you for the idea, yes, for creating such an opportunity for us to present our studies.
Thank you. Ми зустрічаємося о 14-й по своїм секціям, так?
Так.
До зустрічі. Зараз ми виходимо з цього